Michael Jordan makes it official and says he is indeed coming back to the game he loves. Of course, last week he announced in a release that he would be rejoining the Washington Wizards as a player. Well, let's go out now to the MCI Center. Michael Jordan.
Doing this, and then what kind of flipped the switch to make you fully decide to do this?
It took some time, actually. I guess I got the notion that as I got closer and listened to Mario, actually kick-started everything. I actually reminded him of putting me through this, but I really didn't get to the notion that I could play or would want to play until once the season was over and I started working out with some of the NBA players.
Michael, it's Dave Aldridge from ESPN. As the summer went on, what did you see that you liked about how you were coming along, and what concerns you as you started to play against better and more serious competition?
Things that I was looking for was the sense of dominance in situations, taking over, taking control of pickup games, if that can be of any indication. But just as I started to play against some of the other players who played in the league, see if I could get some of my moves off, maintain some type of consistency to stay with them, exert a will to score whenever I felt like I need to score. Defensively, if I could just stay in front of them, kind of dictate some of the action from a defensive standpoint. Although I know this is not, in the summer, is not the same as the season, I was looking for any kind of signs that would give me the motivation that, hey, if I get and start working fitness-wise, I get myself in good shape, I can compete, I can make this thing work. And I saw signs of that, although I didn't see them consistently every single day. But I mean, you're asking your body to do something after 3 years. You just look for signs, and then you got to take it from there to try to physically get yourself in a situation to deal with that every single day. So I mean, I saw that once I started playing against some of the NBA players.
Stuart? Michael Stuart Scott with ESPN. Your level and your ability to dominate at times, did it come quicker or slower than you expected?
It came slower, actually. It didn't come as quick as I would assume that it would. Mainly because as I said, I'm 3 years removed from those types of events. So I was very nervous initially that I would see those signs. I hadn't seen them for some time, and then when I did see them, I knew that I was headed in the right direction physically, of getting myself back in shape. So when I did see the first signs of that, I saw more signs, and that to me was saying that I was in the right direction. I was headed in the right direction. Not where I want to be, obviously, but I'm headed in the right direction.
Michael, someone as close to you as Charles Barkley, his voice is concerned that this is a no-win situation for you. Do you see where he might have a point, and do you worry about it?
No, I don't see where he has a point. I love Charles Barkley. You guys know that. You guys love him because he can give you quick comments and wit and whatever. I never utilize his evaluations for what I try to do as a basketball player. I tried to intrigue him by seeing if he could push himself to get to a challenge of possibly coming back and playing. And Charles chose it, from his own perspective and his motivation that he couldn't. And you guys asked him to comment on mine, which, I don't think he can. He can give us his opinion. I'm pretty sure, everybody can give their opinion. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna have to feel good about what I'm doing. And I'm not walking into this scenario thinking I'm failing. I'm walking in thinking I'm confident, and I'm pretty sure I can make it work. And if I sit here and listen to everyone else tell me that I can't do it, then obviously I wouldn't be here, and so I think his opinion is taken for what it is, which is his opinion, and I don't take too much away from that, you know, and I believe differently of Charles Barkley than what Charles said. I mean, in a sense, I think I can do what I set out my mind to do. And he can do whatever his mind set him out to do, you know, and that's his prerogative. But by no means am I going to let Charles Barkley decide, you know, what I choose to do, or anyone else decide what I choose to do.
Michael, Josie Karp with CNN. This is a two-part question. First, when you step on the court for regular season games, are you convinced that every time you will be the best player on the court? And the other is, should you be compared when you play to those other players or to the Michael Jordan that we last saw play?
When I step on the basketball court, you know, I'm going to consider myself as trying to be the best basketball player I can be. You know, in comparisons to other, I think that's going to be something that's evaluated over time. I'm going to have total confidence once I step on the basketball court that I can do all the things that I'm capable of doing, other than take off from the free throw line, other than the physical incapabilities that I probably can't do or wouldn't want to do as of right now. But in terms of mentally and playing the game at the highest level, I would be totally confident once I step on that basketball court. You know, and physically, I know that I'm not 25 years old. I'm not stepping up here and saying that I will be 25 years old when I step on that court, but I feel like I can play the game of basketball at the highest level. And that's what I'm aiming to do, you know, once I step back on the basketball court.
Michael, Don Marcus from the Baltimore Sun. Coming to the Wizards at this situation, how similar is it to when you came to the Bulls, and how much different is it because you're 38 and not 21?
Well, obviously it's different. You know, I was a young kid coming out of college with nothing to prove, with no parameters, no comparisons, nothing, to a team that you know, really had only one way they could go, was up. You know, it was a little bit different. I'm 38 years old. I come in with with comparisons of what I used to do and what I did from other teams, and you know, so the scenario is not quite the same. That doesn't mean it can't be successful. It's not quite the same, I don't think. And I'm in more of a teaching frame of mind than when I came into the Chicago Bulls. Although you would want to compare the two, but I don't think that's a comparable example.
Michael John Mitchell from the Washington Times. When you joined the Wizards, a team that won 19 games last year, coming from a situation where you won 6 titles in the last 8 years, how much do your expectations change, and how hard do you think it will be making the adjustment to being in a situation where a lot nationally and internationally is not expected of your team?
Well, that's good. I mean, I come from where you expected to dominate, and you know, you are the target. Everybody's shooting at you. Well, here, no one's expecting anything. So I come from the underdog aspect of things, you know, which is kind of different, but yet it's fresh, it's new, you know, and we're not expected to win 50 games. From what I hear from most of you guys, we're not expected to win 30 games. And, you know, that's a challenge for me. You know, I'm pretty sure it's a challenge for Doug. It's a challenge for these young players. I think opposite of those views, I think we can win more than what people expect. To try to put a number on it determines, it's tough to determine right now, but I think we can be better than what we were last year. Does it suffice for me? You know, it depends on what that number is going to be at the end of the day, you know. But I'm not coming in with these preconceived ideas that, you know, we're going to be 50 and 32. You know, I would be totally surprised if we're 50 and 32. But I think we can be far better than 19 and 63.
Dave.
Michael, Dave Feldman, Fox 5 here in D.C. How patient will you be with yourself? I know you've said before you're not the most patient person. Will you judge it right away? Will you give yourself some time as to whether it's a success?
I will give myself some time. I mean, you know, by the time I start this whole journey, You know, I will somewhat kind of give myself some guidelines in terms of what I expect of myself. And, you know, I think that when the time comes of evaluating my, you know, my game, I have to be patient and let things fall in place, you know, and not expect myself to come out and score 40 or 50 points the first night, you know. I'm just going to try to work my way back into the intensity of the game. You know, that's one thing that I could not gather over the summer is the intensity of an NBA game. You know, I can get the intensity of a pickup game, but that's totally different than a regular season game. So it's going to be an adjustment period, and I have to be patient for that.
Darian?
Michael, Darian Chapman from WMAQ in Chicago. Some are saying that your greatest opponent won't be anybody you see on the court, but will be your own legacy that you left in '95 or '98. Are you at all concerned about the pressure that people are going to put on you to match, if not better, what you did when you last played this game?
No. If that was my concern, I wouldn't do this. Obviously, that's not a concern of mine. I'm not, if you guys don't know me by now, you will, is I'm not afraid to take on a challenge when people probably look at it as you know, hurting the things that I've accomplished thus far. That to me is the biggest lesson that we all can learn, is that I'm not afraid to take on a challenge. I'm not afraid to take a step. And if I fall, I fall. I pick myself up. I move on. If we all can learn something in life, is that, you know, don't be afraid to take on something that you believe that you're capable of achieving. You know, if my kids get anything from this whole extent, is if you have a vision about something, go out and do it. Don't let anyone determine what your beliefs may be. If you fail, okay, I tried. You never know if I would fail or if you can fail unless you try. You know, so I'm not looking at this legacy thing as much as you guys may be looking at it, you know, because you know, in retro, I appreciate it. I think that's very caring of some of you guys. You know, but believe me, I've thought about that well in advance of me taking this step, and I don't think that's going to dictate the way I play the game of basketball. I'm going to go out and try to play it the best way possible. You guys are going to compare me to when I came into the league, taking off from the free throw line, 1988, winning championships in 91, 92, 93, 96, 97, 98. I know that coming in. But that doesn't mean I don't love the game and I don't want to play the game. I love the game for the basic reason of loving the game. Not that, you know, I'm not going to be in this elite group that left a champion, you know, or left undefeated. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can probably do that if I choose to do that, but, you know, that's not what I'm all about. I'm all about challenges and going out and trying to see if I can achieve something. At the end of the day, if I do it, great. If I don't, I can live with myself. I mean, I stopped reading, I stopped listening because everybody was so negative about what I was trying to do. Last I looked, if I read every newspaper about the negative things that I was trying to do, I swear I wasn't living in America. America is supposed to be a free will to do whatever you choose or whatever you want to do. That's all I'm doing. I'm not committing a crime here. I'm just trying to play a game of basketball. And what if I'm tired of playing in the YMCAs or the Boys and Girls Club? I want to step up to the elite competition. If I can do it, great. If I can't, that's great too. You know, but you can't take my 6 championships away. You can't take all the things that I've done, as much as you probably would want to. I'm just going to play the game of basketball that I love. I'm not about the money. I don't care if I get paid a dime. I said that many years. It doesn't matter if I get paid $1. I'm going to play the game of basketball because I love it. I come to Washington because they gave me an opportunity to play here. It kind of fits because of where my job was. I'm going to play the game of basketball. I hope we win. My opportunity is to try to go out and make this a winning franchise. But I'm going to be happy when I step on that court because I'm playing basketball. And you say, well, the young dogs are going to chase me around. Well, I'm not going to bark too far away from them either. You know, I'm not running from nobody. I think, if anything, it'd be a great challenge for me. You know, I'm not saying that I can take Kobe Bryant or I can take Tracy McGrady or, you know, you guys are the only ones saying that they can take me. All good and fine. You know, I'm pretty sure they're sitting back and welcoming the challenge. guess what? I'm sitting back and welcoming the challenge too. So I mean, I'm not walking in the dark here. I know what I'm capable of doing. I know what's going to be expected of me. I know everybody's putting my head on a block, and everybody's motivated to come out and play against me. Well, everybody was motivated to play against me when I left. So things hadn't changed since I've been gone.
Brian.
Brian Burwell, HBO Sports. Two-part question. From a business standpoint, will you still be operating as president of basketball operations? And if not, who will be in that role? And from a basketball standpoint, when you came back the first time, you brought back that fadeaway with you. What are you bringing back this time?
Well, obviously, you know, I can't be management and player, you know, so I don't hold the title of president of basketball operations. Mr. Poland has given me, you know, the chance to be involved in some of the decision makings in terms of players and things of that nature. And I will give my 2 cents from that. You know, at the end of the day, it's going to be his call as well as Wes Unsell's call. That is how we have to do that, you know. And I'm not here to try to break any rules. I knew once I gave up my title of president of basketball operations, I couldn't run the basketball team anymore. But I can confer, I can give my opinions about things. And that's exactly what I will do. What do I have in store when I come back from a basketball standpoint? Depends on the defense. You know, the defense dictates a lot of things that I do as an offensive player. I don't understand how these rules are going to be applied. But, you know, by the time training camp is over and done with, I will have a better understanding, and I will make my adjustments, and hopefully be successful adjustments. I still think I can shoot the fadeaway. I can still dunk the basketball. I can do all the basic things, you know, if you want to call them basic in comparison to what I used to do. But, I mean, I still love the game.
Rachel.
You talked about teaching. Can you talk a little bit, sorry, Rachel Nichols from the Washington Post, talked a little bit about teaching. Can you talk a little bit about specifically teaching the NBA's #1 draft pick and how being down on the floor is going to change Kwame's development a little bit, what you expect from him?
Well, I'm going to be a teacher on the floor because I'm more experienced than a lot of the players that I'm going to be playing against or playing with. I'm not here to try to redefine the game of basketball. But it's certain ways of progression and understanding and making yourself better. Those are the things that I'm going to try to give to all the young players, not just Kwame Brown, but Richard Hamilton and Courtney Alexander and those type of players. And either they listen or they don't listen. If it fits, it doesn't fit. You know, everything that worked for me may not work for them. I'm just going to try to give them the best angle to make them better basketball players, and hopefully that's going to make us a better team. And I can pass that on to other players in the league, make the game better. You know, I feel like I'm obligated to pass on things that I've learned over the years to other players, to the game of basketball. That's what I will try to do when I'm playing. I'm not going to give away too much because I'm still competing. I'm still trying to get advantage of some of the guys I may be playing against. But I know that I'm more of an experienced player than you know, a lot of the players on our team. Well, hopefully they can learn from my experiences, and hopefully I can pass that down to where they understand it a little bit better.
Kim.
Michael, Tim Hips with Sports Ticker. Did the rules changes have any effect on your final decision? And even if not, do you think they'll work to your advantage? I
don't think anyone has a clear understanding how the rules are going to apply. I don't. So they didn't have any, you know, implications in terms of what my decision was going to be. I'm really going to try to make adjustments quick to where I can use the rules to my advantages. I think I'm smart enough that I can do that. But I have to really get a good feel for how the rules are going to change the game. I don't really have a good understanding as of right now. And I think Doug's been working on that, so he's going to be a big help for me.
Right here.
Michael Arash Kadisha from ABC News. As Americans recover from the September 11th attacks, do you think or hope that word of your comeback might help them get back to normal in terms of giving them some good news? And also, do you think that going forward, the place and importance that sport has taken and athletes have taken in our society will change, given all we've seen in the last couple weeks?
Well, I mean, we're entertainers, and our biggest job is to try to take America's mind and the world's mind away from certain daily routines, you know, and I think we're going to be relied upon in doing that a little bit, especially during these times. I don't think My job is more important than all the firemen and policemen's job each and every day. I don't think I'm that backwards to believe that, but I think it is a place for relaxation, and I think that's what my responsibility is going to be. Hopefully, I can provide a relaxation for many of us, so that it can help us deal with a lot of the social issues and some of the issues that we're dealing with. But at the end of the day, I know my place, and I understand that I can help, and this is my way of helping. And hopefully it can help. How does that translate over the period of time in terms of athletes and how they're perceived? I think that's sometimes it's not our call. It's the way society is looked at us and perceives us and expects us to lend a helping hand, and we try to do that. And I think that doesn't change.
Michael, Brad Palmer, WLS-TV, Chicago. We know you like a challenge. We know you love the game. But we also know you've left the game twice, supposedly to spend more time with your family, and now you're coming back a third time. Be more separated from your family than before. Is the flip side of the challenge and love of the game the fact that maybe you were just getting bored playing golf and cards? Did you need the challenge more than you needed it in the past?
No, I think, obviously when I left the game, I left something on the floor. You guys maybe not understand that, but and you may not remember it. I think even when I retired the last time, I didn't say I was ready to quit the game. Didn't want to go through the whole rebuilding process at that time. I think everybody asked me, well, if Phil would have stayed there and the team would have stayed intact, I would have still been playing. I constantly said that, But I do have, and my family understands, and I've had great conversations with my family, that it's an itch that still needs to be scratched here. And I want to make sure this scratch doesn't bother me for the rest of my life, and they totally understand that, and they're willing to support that, and I didn't realize the scratch was still there until I got close to the game and became involved with the Washington Wizards and got close to the players, and I understood the competition and the challenges started to create an itch for me. And what am I doing now? I'm trying to get that last scratch in, so that when I walk away from this, I don't have to worry about that itch anymore, and my family understands that.
Michael, Daryl Joyner, Channel 5 here in D.C. In Chicago, you ran the triangle offense. You played the 1-2-3 position. Should we expect that with the Wizards? If so, should we see you in the same position? And do you have the talent to run that offense with the Wizards?
I don't think we're going to run the triangle. I think obviously that was for a team that was together for a long period of time, and they understood the idiosyncrasies of that offense, which is, a pretty complicated offense. I don't anticipate that happening. I don't think we're going to run the triangle, but yet I could be playing 1, 2, and 3 positions. That's Doug's challenge, and I think he's welcoming the challenge of how he can use me along with other young players. And I think if you have a chance to talk to him, I'm pretty sure he can inform you of that. As of right now, I haven't really picked his brain, but I know it's going to be something that's going to be, pretty thought out, in terms of a plan, because Doug is that way. He's smart. I'm glad that he will be my coach in this scenario, because he knows me, he knows how to use me, and I think his knowledge of the game is very, very high.
Andrew. Michael, Andrew Dyer, the Round Ball Report. The sports world in general seems to be aghast that if the greatest player, arguably to ever play the game, is going to come back, why would he come back with a 19-63 team? Now, while that 19 victories can't be argued, you saw the games day in and day out. True. And saw the young team that lost a lot of those games down the stretch. Do you see yourself coming in, letting the young guys take it for the first 2 or 3 quarters and coming in and doing what you need to do to close the deal, to kind of turn some of those L's to W's this year?
Well, hopefully, I can give some knowledge of how to take care of the basketball and take care of some of the minor mistakes or major mistakes they made down the stretch. But that's just not me. That's Doug Collins as well, and our coaching staff, and hopefully our young players being more experienced. So, I mean, collectively, I think hopefully we can eliminate some of those mental losses we can't stop the ability losses if someone's just better than we are, you know, but those mental losses I think we can eliminate.
Buck, and then Joseph after Buck.
Okay, Michael, Steve Buckhantz with Wizards TV. Two-part. First, could you address your health? You know, you hurt the ribs during the summer. Are you 100%, and do you fear for your physical being more so than you did when maybe you were a little bit younger? And the second question is about being sort of a player coach on the floor with some of these young guys. How will that work with Doug Collins? Do you see yourself as a collaborative effort in coaching, not coaching the team, but maybe, you know, using your experience with Doug Collins to help coach this team?
Well, I think, you know, the good thing about Doug and I, we can rely upon each other in terms of, you know, coaching as well as, you know, just pushing players to do things and just understand things. I would try to lead by his examples or follow his lead, I guess, on the basketball court from what his coaching is, you know, and, you know, if the players don't understand it, then maybe I could articulate it better or show them better from a physical standpoint. That's the relationship between me and Doug. And I think that hopefully I can, you know, I can give him what he needs as an example on the basketball court, and the knowledge that he knows, I can showcase that to the players. And the little bit that I may know about the game, maybe I can inform him about in his strategizing of plans or what's, you know, just going about his game plans. Physically, I think if everybody looks, you know, from my second year on, ever since I started physically preparing myself for the seasons, I rarely miss games. I've went through some nagging situations to get to this point, you know, from broken ribs to, you know, back problems and tendonitis of the knee, all the things that I've occurred or dealt with in the past. Right now, I'm 100%. I feel good physically. I'm getting my body ready for the pounding and the grueling activity that is going to go through. And once I get to that point, I don't think I'm going to be worried about getting hurt. I hadn't been in the past because I prepared for myself, prepared my body physically for the grueling season. If I do that again, I don't think I'm going to be worried about that.
Here.
Michael, Jim Litke from the Associated Press. You said about 3 weeks ago that Commissioner Stern was about 50-50 regarding the comeback, that he had some obvious concerns about overshadowing the younger ball players. Has that changed from your recent talks with him, and do you worry about that yourself?
I missed that 50-50 in terms of...
You're coming back. He was worried about overshadowing younger ball players.
Right, at the time, you know, I was going through this tendonitis problem with my knee, and physically I didn't want to limp back into playing the game of basketball, you know, and I went through, you know, physically just trying to get myself back in shape, my strength and conditioning, things of that nature, and I got myself physically capable of getting on the basketball court to compete with, you know, the NBA players, so that I could see the signs that I wanted to see. And yes, I got to that. I got to that point, and I got confidence, and the 50% changed because of my physical capability of getting on the basketball court to go against the young players and seeing how talented they are and seeing if I can compete with them, you know, and I still feel that I'm confident that I can compete with them. Did I answer your question right, Jimmy?
I was actually asking about Commissioner Stern. You said 3 weeks ago that Commissioner Stern was 50-50 on your coming back. You said that part of his concern was you might overshadow all these younger ball players that the league was developing.
That's what Commissioner Stern said. You know, I don't want to overshadow the young players. You know, a lot of people were very nervous about me stopping the growth of the NBA because of my participation in the NBA. You know, I'm only to add. I'm here to aid and help, you know, and at the same time get that itch scratched. I don't want to steal the thunder from Kobe Bryant and Tracy McGrady and those types of people, because I think it's a point where they have to continue to grow, and they have continued to grow. The most unfortunate thing is that if I decide to do anything, everybody's going to make the comparisons and the competitions between myself and the players that has been growing. And that's an unforeseen, situation that I just couldn't do this and try to get away from or try to avoid. And it's all depending on how you guys perceive this whole process, and you write it, and and the marketing aspect. I'm not asking the league market me in any way. I'm not asking them to put me on TV. I'm asking. I just want to play the game of basketball. Everybody else is looking at it as an opportunity to make money, which anytime I play the game, that's how people looked at it anyway. I could never control that. So Mr. Stern he has a job he has to do in terms of making sure that he doesn't promote an old guy, and he promotes and market the young guys. I would rather for him to market the young guys. I want the growth of the business of basketball to continue to grow. I don't want anything to be hanging on my last word or my decisions. That's not fair to those young guys, and that's not what I'm all about. I just want to play the game of basketball, really, truly. And it's not for the business of basketball.
A couple more questions, Scott.
Yeah, Scott Jackson, Sports Talk 980. Michael, Doug mentioned that he may give you a break if you wanted at training camp with the two-a-days. Do you see that happening? And also with the season, when it goes on, do you see yourself, taking nights off, like Mario Lemieux did when his hockey return?
No. I can understand about two-a-days, which I welcome that. Obviously, I would push myself, and Doug would continue to push me. I didn't go two-a-days in the last 4 years when I played, which I know Phil was trying to manage my physical output, but I imagine Doug is going to do the same. But when the season starts, I plan on playing 82 games. I'm not looking for shortcuts, I've never been about shortcuts. Not that Mario was taking a shortcut. I'm pretty sure he knew his body physically better than anybody, but I think that once I decide to play, or when the season starts, I plan on playing 82 games.
Joseph.
Joseph White with the Associated Press. Michael, when in the spring, when word first came out that you were thinking about doing this, there was talk of maybe getting Charles to play and maybe a couple of big-name free agents to come along and make sort of an all-star team around your return. Right. How serious was that? And when it became evident that that wasn't going to happen, did that alter your thinking in any way?
Well, it wasn't as serious as thing people may have thought. At that time, I had a job to do from the president of basketball operations. That was to make sure that I manage the cap, free agency, making sure we don't put ourselves in a financial bind to continue the growth of this franchise. And I think that, most of those decisions were made with that, in mind. I think we'll be underneath the cap significantly next year. Hopefully it can be an appetite for a lot of the free agents who consider to come here in Washington and play because of what the improvements and the growth that we will continue to make. But I couldn't think an all-star team of so many past players or other players could be done and still maintain the versatility that we need to build this franchise.
Last question right here.
And Mike, Scott Soshnick from Bloomberg. Is there a scenario you could envision where if things don't work out from a one-loss perspective, at the trade deadline, the best thing for this future of this franchise would be to deal you for a bunch of draft picks?
They can certainly think about that. I don't think that's, I'm pretty sure I would have to get an approval of that. Or just trade my rights. I'm pretty sure they could do that. I haven't really thought about that. I got to really be playing bad for them to think that way. And whoever I go to really going to have to be very sentimental in taking me if I'm not playing to the capability that I expect myself to be playing. But that's a pretty good twist that I haven't thought about. It sounds like my agent would think that way, but I certainly hadn't thought about that.
Thank you very much, everyone. Maureen Nash will have a couple of announcements.
All right, Michael Jordan making it official, announcing that he is coming back to scratch the itch, as he said. He wanted to see if he could still dominate the games when he was playing the pickup games, and it feels like he has done just that. The coach of the NBA's first dynasty, Red Auerbach, said that Bill Russell and John Havlicek thought they could still play after they had retired, but when they came back, found that even in practice, they just didn't have it and just didn't want to do it. Michael Jordan obviously still wants to do it, still wants to scratch that itch. The first practice for the Wizards is tomorrow, their first preseason game a week from Thursday against the Pistons, first regular season game the night before Halloween at Madison Square Garden against the New York Knicks.